This is the Viltrox 56mm 1.7 for Sony E-mount, another really cheap 50mm option for the Sony APC-sensor systems. But does the price reflect the quality? Stay tuned and you will find out, and you can actually win this, so make sure to watch the whole of the video. Starting with the build quality, the Viltrox is made of matte plastic but has a metal mount. It has a waterproof and anti-fouling coating on the front lens. It is 65 x 54mm long and only weighs around 170 grams, which makes it ideal for an everyday carry lens. It uses 52mm filters, which is a pretty standard size for this kind of lens. It doesn't feature any buttons or an aperture ring, but the zoom ring feels pretty smooth, and overall I think the build quality feels pretty nice. Now for the image quality, the Viltrox is surprisingly sharp and is almost as sharp as the Sigma 56mm 1.4, which is a much more expensive lens.
So here I have just done a not so scientific comparison where I'm shooting with the 50mm 1.8 for full frame, this Viltrox lens, and then the 85mm 1.8 also for full frame. And of course here my focusing is really important to show how sharp it is, and I did this manually as best as I could, and I think it is visible to see, at least without the YouTube crop, that the Viltrox is sharper than the 50mm 1.8, and on my end here the 85mm also looks less sharp, and I'm not sure if this is correct or if it's just my focusing that was bad.
It has some vignetting, but most lenses do, and this can be fixed in post pretty easily. Distortion is almost not visible, and again, it can't be fixed in post. Fringing as well is also on the low end as far as I see. The Viltrox gives some nice round bokeh balls and produces a pretty background blur if you ask me. This is of course a subjective question, so I will also let you decide by watching some of the photos that I've taken with the lens.
With my head hanging down, 'cause my baby has left and I don't know why. I did everything that a woman could do. Nothing in this world can compare with you. Still love you. You know I need you.
Autofocus performance is critical, especially for fast-moving subjects. This was the first time for me using a Viltrox lens, and I was pleasantly surprised by the autofocus. Of course, this also varies on the camera model you use, and if you watch this channel just a little bit, you know I use an old A6000 for my APC-sensor camera lenses, and this is an older camera that does not have some of the newer focusing systems, but I really think that the Viltrox and the Sony A6000 did really well together. I didn't notice any craziness in the performance of the autofocus, and I was pretty pleased with the performance that it gave me when I was out on the street shooting with this lens. I do think that the autofocus is a bit noisy, and sometimes you can hear it adjusting inside the lens when it's trying to achieve focus. This is definitely something you need to think about, especially if you're going to use this for video. If you consider buying the Viltrox, you're probably going to hold it up against the Sigma 56mm 1.4, as I mentioned earlier, or perhaps the Sony 50mm FE, which I have right here. To summarize it really fast, the Sigma is probably the best lens of the three. It is sharper, faster, and has a better autofocus performance, but it is also heavier and way more expensive. The Sony 50mm 1.8 FE is the least sharp of the three lenses, and it has some more pronounced issues when it comes to fringing. It is also a bit noisy when it's focusing, and it does not perform that well in video. It weighs a little more than the Viltrox, and also it is a little more expensive than the Viltrox. It is still a decent lens though, And being a full frame lens, this can be used on full frame cameras if you upgrade or already own any of these cameras as I do. Let's talk about the price and the value, because the Viltrox is a really cheap lens, but with the quality it delivers, I really think this is a bargain. You almost get on-par performance as the Sigma lens, but for a fraction of the price. The Sigma comes at $430 US, the Sony 1.8 comes at $225 US, and the Viltrox only comes in at $180 US. So what is my verdict? Well, if you have watched the video, I hope that you have the feeling that the Viltrox 56mm 1.7 for the Sony E-mount system is a really great lens. And when you take the price in consideration, I really think this is a really steal if you're looking for a fast, easy to carry lens that will work great for portraits and street photography. If money isn't an issue, I would look at the Sigma 56mm 1.4, keeping in mind that this is a heavier lens. If you know you will upgrade to a full frame in the future, I would look at the Sony 50mm 1.8, which is still a decent lens, and as you see, I own it. If you want the best for the full frame systems, then I would look at the Sony FE 55mm 1.8 size Sonner, which is a really great lens, but also costs a lot of money when you compare it to the lenses we have talked about in this video. Anyway guys, I hope you found this video helpful. Bro, what about the content about winning the Viltrox lens? Thanks for reminding. Let me explain. Yeah. Because Viltrox are doing a test among 15 content creators, and I am one of those. The top 5 with most engagement get to keep the Viltrox lens. So if my content performs well, I will get to keep the lens, and then I will give it away to one of my followers. So if you want to help me and also win the lens, you need to follow me on Instagram, like my post and reel about the Viltrox lens on Instagram, subscribe to this YouTube channel, and also leave a comment on this video. Good luck, and I will see you around. Boy.